stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So Mr. Early is excused and Ms. Kraus is remote. So we need, do we have any other, no changes to the agenda. So we need a motion to approve the clerk pro tem and administrative out. So move. Motion by Sue, second by Dale. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Just make it a thumbs up. Or yes, either one.
Jess, are you awake?
Yes.
Okay. Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Item C, we need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Motion by Terry, second by Sue. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Thumbs up for yes from Jess.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Now we will move on to our presentations, and we have a bowling presentation from Mr. Jankowski.
So this time I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Gene Jankowski, our bowling coach, to introduce one of his star athletes.
All right. You want me down front or just stand here?
Your pleasure.
All right, I'll stand over here. We had a great season. The boys were 54-2 league champs. Most wins in the season in school history. Most games bowled. We had another team to the league, so you're gonna set some new records that way. Quentin was our team leader, MVP, league MVP, first team All-Star, and just an incredible season. 197 average, and that. We're bowling in some tougher houses now, so the scores are going to go down. I found out the schools in Erie County, what they do is when they're bowling in a house that they don't score well, they don't bring their best bowlers because it hurts their average. And we're bringing them. And so he led a team record 28 200 games, so almost 50% of his games are over 200. And when we got to sectionals, and we've been talking start of the season on what's coming up ahead and what we need to do, and so. Sectionals was a conversation that we had, and then after sectionals, we talked about getting to states, and I think we jumped through all the hoops we wanted, except for maybe getting the 300 game yet, but he's got another year to do it. He has a 300 game, by the way, just not in league play yet. So we qualify, he qualifies for states, and the guy running the tournament comes over to me and he says, he goes, it's close between him and my guy. And I knew what he needed, but I didn't tell him, and he opened, and then he threw the last 5 to make sure he got it, but he didn't know that. And then we're waiting, and we think he's in, but I'm thinking, something can always go wrong, and then I'm standing right next to him, and they call his name, and Quentin he gets so emotional, and he did one of these, yes, and that's the most emotion I've seen out of him. And we went up and got our awards, then we went to states, and I was. We're the best bowlers are from Erie County, and we get up there and we're practicing, and we had 6 270 games in 4 days of practice with these guys. The one guy at states through his 7th 300 game, and he's a junior. So these guys are phenomenal. Quentin certainly held his own. He got there and he just looked around. We got 12 girls and 12 boys bowling for the All-Stars and the other teams, and he looks around and he goes, yeah, I know all these kids. He's bowling with them on the weekends in Buffalo and Rochester, and he goes to PA and bowls. So next Friday you're going where? Yeah, so it's a 4-hour drive to bowl in the States or PA, but he just did a phenomenal job. The last practice we did an eliminator, and just show you the talent. Low man is out. So when I say low man, there's 12 boys and 12 girls, and believe me, the girls can hold their own. And so low two are out, and then it keeps going until there's 2 people left. And Quentin wins it, and he said, I'll do another one if people want to stick around and do another one. So he did another one. He made it to the final 4 of the next one, and the coaches from up there, they all made it a point to go up to him and shake his hand, because that was impressive, and these coaches are doing this in practice. And coincidentally, the second time we did it, the girls were 1 and 2, so they're pretty competitive. Just an outstanding year. I couldn't have written a better script to end my career and to do this with Quentin. And do you want to say anything, or?
Just thank you for all the support, for all the folks and everything you guys been doing.
The boys team was an all-West New York Scholar athlete team, and they've been on and off with that the last couple of years. And the girls are an all-West New York Scholar athlete team for the 8th straight season. Back when we first made it, you could go to the state website and they would list the teams and their GPAs, and we were in the top 10, so top 10 smartest girls bowling teams in the state. And since then, we've gone up a little better. And just to give you an idea how long, 8 years ago, we had a girl by the name of Jordan Ray and Emma Fisk were 7 years. So that's how long this has been going on. So great job to all the boys. This has been a treat. Why are we wearing orange and black? Does anyone know? It's our sectional color for state. So if the basketball team goes, they wear their team uniform. All-star teams are orange and black. So we're not loving Fredonia or anything. I like Fredonia.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this.
And next we have our other presentation.
So,
Perfect.
Dr. Giller,
All
take
right.
it away.
You'll recall that at the September 21st meeting, the school board approved a contract with Epic, which is Every Person Influences Children. Today, we're excited to have Tara Burgess, who is the executive director of Epic, come. She's going to introduce her the director of family.
If you get this, like,
Yes,
I'll buy you
the
a coffee.
director of family engagement and professional development.
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know that. Good job.
And then she's going to introduce our local representatives, who were one of the first things that they did when they started and opened up here, which was to hire a couple of our local folks, and they're managing the office in Salamanca. So I'll turn it over to Tara.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks to the board. Thanks, everyone. Brittany, who is obviously a little better bowler than I am. I'm really great at becoming powder balls. Thank you. Okay, so I'm Tara Burgess. I'm the executive director at Epic, Every Person Influences Children. And we started out kind of on this process several months ago at the Care Management Coalition location in Buffalo, where we have a collaborative of agencies that support families and educators around family engagement and parenting, mental health services, substance use disorder, those kinds of things. And a cohort had come out to meet with one of our partners. They invited me in to talk for a couple of minutes. And the big question was, does family engagement even mean? So I was put on the spot to say, you know, what does family engagement look like? Well, family engagement looks like this, right? It looks like Quentin, who is here. He's probably got some really great support that is, you know, helping him on his journey through education, through sports, through, you know, all of the things that it takes to grow up and be an adult. So why are we here? I'm going to tell you a short story about probably 1975. So however many years ago that was, about 45 years ago. Our founder, Robert Wilson, him and his wife had befriended a child in their neighborhood who lived in foster care. And they paid him to do odd jobs. They took him fishing, they took him camping, and kind of took him on under their wing, allowing him to become kind of part of their family. And unfortunately, the young man killed Mrs. Wilson. He was robbing her home, and he didn't know she was there, and she surprised him, and he didn't know what to do, so he killed her. Mr. Wilson spent a year grieving, and he woke up one morning and said, you know what, why would a child do this? Why would a 15-year-old child do this? There had to be a reason other than just this is a bad kid. We started looking into the child's life, and we found out that in 15 years, the child had lived in 11 different foster homes. He had experienced abuse and neglect, and he lived a life that, you know, many people just don't understand. Certainly Mr. Wilson didn't understand, but he had a couple of things that I would hope that I have as well, and that's passion and empathy. And he decided that he was going to do everything he could to eradicate, you know, child abuse and neglect, so that families could have the skills and the resources that they need to really raise their children. And we are here now, 40 years later, not just preventing child abuse and neglect, but doing the things that that families and communities and educators and healthcare providers need to really kind of understand. How do we meet each other where they are? And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Rattle, who is our Director of Family Engagement and Professional Development. It just rolls off.
The longest title on the planet. I'm going to admit that I need an adult. I'm usually pretty good about technology, but our little pointer isn't pointing. I'm hitting the play and the forward, and it just doesn't believe me. So I can like cue you.
Try now.
Where am I pointing? Am I?
Should be. Just let me know when you want to go.
All right, go ahead. We'll do a little
There we
thumbs up.
go.
You can move forward. We're good. You keep going. This is what we're doing. Hey, stop there for a second. So Tara just told you a little bit about, you know, sort of our why in EPIC, and I am in adult education, so I like to tell you the why. But I'll just talk for a second. You know, our mission is to strengthen families and build communities so that we're raising children who make a positive impact in the world. And I have to tell you, I see that and feel that every time I come to Salamanca, and especially when I walk in buildings, right? It feels cohesive in that space, and it feels like you're, by extension, have sort of a piece of that mission as well. We do see a world where every child has a strong start and a promising future, and we believe in children and their potential. We believe in families as sort of their supports, and we believe in communities as they're going to educate and advocate and sort of wrap our arms around our kiddos. Perfect. So what is family engagement? Tara teased it out, and I was like, oh no, don't tell them, because I'm going to tell them. So family engagement is really sort of this interesting collaboration around family, schools, and communities. If you've heard the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. That's what it is, right? It's the impact the village has to help children, in this case, have a strong start in terms of academic success, but ultimately putting those things together means that we're raising children who have, like, make a positive impact in the world and have a promising future. Perfect. So my favorite story. So sort of what makes up family engagement? It's linked to learning. It takes place outside of the four walls of the school building, and it's age and stage appropriate. And I will be very transparent and tell you that every time I walk the school building and I say, it takes place outside the four walls, the schools are like, no, it doesn't. No, it totally takes place here, and it can, but it also can take place right in the community. So I use the example of the cupcakes. Susanna Schenk, who was on our team when I started, I give credit where credit is due, had the best example. So let's pretend you're a teacher and you have a child who's celebrating birthday, and you're allowed to bring cupcakes to school. Remember that. Remember when you were allowed to bring cupcakes to school? And a parent brings in the tastiest cupcakes you've ever seen. You've had a long day. You were so excited about the sugar rush. They're beautifully decorated. You suspect she like did something fancy. Maybe she was a cake decorator. And then she stays and she hands out the cupcakes and she leaves and, you know, singing, and she hangs out. And that's awesome. And it's not family. It's family involvement, which is a great place to start, but it isn't linked to learning, right? It didn't necessarily take place outside of that space. So if we think about it in a different way, same scenario, the cupcakes that come in look suspect. You're pretty sure you can see an eggshell sticking out of the side of one of them. The frosting is a hot mess, and you are not going to eat one of those. And the kid is so excited and tells you the story about how they went to the store and they talked about how many kids are in the class and how many boxes of cupcakes mix they're going to need. And they went home and they read the directions on the box, and they practiced measuring and used math. And then they learned a really hard lesson about why you need to let cupcakes cool before you frost them, which might be why they look like they're such a mess. And they're so excited. That's That's family engagement, right? It was age and stage appropriate. They did things to back up what our teachers are talking about in their classrooms, and it took place at home. So just sort of keeping that in mind. I'll say, remember the cupcakes. Go for it. So the other part of the why in terms of family engagement is what does it do for us, right? We see improvement across the board, especially around behaviors and academic achievement and attendance for students, especially around families who get more involved, they feel more confident. I don't know if anybody in this room ever had like a less than awesome educational experience in their past, but it can color like how you feel moving forward. So when we have strong practices, we can kind of maybe make up for some of the things that might have happened that we didn't have control over in the educational system. And it improves morale and decreases teacher turnover. Yay, we all need that, right? And I think it's important, I just want to circle back to when we talk about the children's academic achievements, that cuts across socioeconomic barriers. So that happens regardless of what's happening in the home. And I think that that's probably the most impactful piece of that in terms of student success. Perfect. All right. So we've been here for maybe like since November-ish. So yes, here's the exciting part. We hired two spectacular staff members, Laura Bouchard, who is our family engagement manager and trainer. I tried to make her title longer than mine, but it didn't work. And then,
Still struggles.
and then we have Mark Hill, who is our family engagement program coordinator. They are both proud graduates of Salamanca City's Central School District. So it was really nice to kind of keep it in the family. I got to do some amazing work with the liaisons. I love those folks. We did a bunch of professional development and sort of helped them start the school year off, sort of thinking about family engagement in different ways. We had our first Ready, Set, Read literacy program. And I just want to take a minute. Not only did we have 7 families complete the program, which is a big deal, they showed up for all 6 sessions and participated fully with their kids. But I just want to take a second to say that we had participants that struggled with literacy themselves. And so it was really exciting to see folks who had maybe had problems in the past or had some struggles and could recognize the importance and wanted to kind of get a leg up on that for their children, which is really exciting. We've been doing some parenting workshops and some parenting cafes. Those numbers up there indicate how many people have registered, which means they know about us, versus how many people are coming, which we're building some relationships. We're excited to do so. We're on to the next one. In process, we're going to continue to do some parent support workshops for the year, and we've got some scheduled parent cafes. The parent cafes are an opportunity for families to talk about whatever they sort of might need support around. We don't give them a title or a topic for that. We're just there to kind of support them in whatever might be happening. And family engagement in the future, we're really excited to hopefully work with folks here and do some work at Spark for story time for literacy. We'll do more Ready, Set, Reads. We've got some tech savvies to help everyone navigate technology safely, right? Continue doing some support. We're going to continue to do some professional development. And in speaking with Dr. Beeler a couple of weeks ago, we're going to do some assessment and planning and help sort of create the updated family engagement plan, which I'm the most excited about. Awesome. Some of the school relationships that we formed so far, we've gotten great relationships with the school liaisons. We're meeting with them pretty regularly. We went and spoke with the MTSS team at Prospect, and then had a great and really thought-provoking meeting at the high school. And we're actually going to kind of be a part of some of the things that they're doing. They're part of the brainstorming and some support for the families in that place. And then we met with the academic coaches and had another really spectacular conversation that just sort of started more balls rolling. Perfect. Awesome. And then we've gotten some community connections, and we're doing some work with Quick Start, with the library, the Seneca Alameda Community Center, the Youth Bureau. We signed a contract in connection with Kristen with Zach Home, and we'll be doing our Just for Teens program, which is a parenting program for pregnant or parents and teens. So regardless of how we might feel about an unexpected teen pregnancy, they're going to be parents and they deserve the same support that we would give any other parent in that situation. And so we'll come alongside Zach Home and support them. And then we have actually a cultural day. We're so excited. Scheduled to go through the museum in the full capacity. We visited once. We're going back. Just sort of embracing our space here in Salamanca. And then since I did this like a week ago, I tallied it up and we've given away 1,000 children's books since we got here, between celebrating Read Across America Day at Prospect Elementary School, between an Easter outreach we did with the Youth Bureau, and then our families that completed Ready, Set, Read, and we included tips for you and child. tips for reading with children with those. So I think that that's pretty exciting. We're making, some sort of headway in that space. And then this is us. If you have questions, I tried to be super, super brief, and I'm getting there. If you have any questions or want to reach out to any of us, myself, Tara, or Mark or Laura. And then do you guys have questions for me? We're good.
Well, I had one.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being brief, but I actually wanted to hear a lot more about this.
Tell me more, then I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
No, well, the one thing that you touched on, you said you were excited about it was the assessment plan
Yeah.
in support of creating an updated family engagement plan for the district.
Yes. What do you want to know? All
All
of the
about
things. Great.
What are we doing?
Yeah,
Are we
so-
doing spaghetti night or what's going on?
So it's sort of a multi-step process, and it will start with some pointed interviews with the leadership team at the district to kind of unearth sort of what do you think about family engagement? What are the maybe some struggles in the district that could be sort of helped with family engagement? What are sort of your view for the direction that the district is going? And then from there, we do focus groups with families, with teachers, and with other school staff, and we ask similar questions about sort of their thoughts around things. We utilize the 6 tenets of the PTA's family school partnership. So we'll sort of use that framework around creating those spaces. We also do then family-friendly walkthroughs. So we've taken a walkthrough of the building, but we open that up to the same groups that do the focus groups and say, coming into the building, is it easy to manage? Is it representative of the school population? What does it feel like to sign in at the front desk at 8:30 when things are chaotic, right? Like we might do some of those things. And we gather lots of data. I have like pages of data that I need from you guys. Sorry. Information about, some of the things that have been utilized in the past, and some data around attendance and behavioral issues and academic success. Anything that you might indicate could perhaps be improved by a targeted approach to family engagement. We want to know kind of what does it look like now so that we can make a plan for what it might look like in the future. We take all of that good stuff, we make a giant report, and we give you the giant report, and then from there we create sort of a plan, some action steps around what is some low-hanging fruit, some easily attainable things that might improve family engagement in a quick way. But we're also in this space really going to create what do we want it to look like, right? Like what does that look like for the district? And then from there, some longer term goals and strategic opportunities. And then we talk about, does it make sense to continue with some programming, right? Some continued professional development could be helpful, or other things that we might have to offer. Does that help in a nutshell, give you a better understanding?
Yeah, it kind of does, but you know what? The other piece that I wanted to mention, you touched on it, what will really help is what does our family engagement look like right now?
Yeah, we're gonna find out.
No, that's a real question. What does it look like right now?
Sure, well, needs to be improved, right? Over the past couple of years, it's dwindled off. It wasn't really fabulous, I would say. Even 3 years ago, with the prohibitions from the pandemic, it really has dwindled. So one of our goals is to develop a district-wide family engagement plan, and then develop plans for each family that are much more specific. And then another component of that is to build out things like our PTAs at each one of our buildings, to make sure that we have opportunities for all of our administrators to be active in the community. So all of those pieces are, now that we're able to re-engage the community in a more personal manner, and that really prohibited us, I believe, from moving forward with a lot of the things that we wanted to do. And some of the good things that we had been doing, really, we were unable to do. And it was really much more personal, and we were relying on the family liaisons to do a lot of that work, but now it's time to really open up the doors. The first, or one of the big steps, was getting Epic on board. They have been terrific so far. They have pushed us. They've provided opportunities for us to have different access or resources to access. Would you just touch base on, so if I'm a parent, what are some of the benefits I might have of coming to one of their classes?
Yeah. So two different, if we can do literacy, right? The idea of helping, I don't know if you've had children, but did you know they don't come with a book? They do, right? And they also don't tell you as a parent, they tell you your kid should be kindergarten ready, right? Well, what does kindergarten ready mean? That's terrifying. And so, right, around Ready, Set, Read, it's bite-sized, totally doable activities and things that you're probably already doing with your children to help them develop literacy skills. So I use the Cheerios example. If you've got a little tiny person and they're 2 and you go to the grocery store with them, it's already a nightmare. but let's like move past the nightmare. And you can say to them, can you help me find the yellow cereal box, right? You're sort of engaging in that space and they're learning about colors. And they get a little older and it's, can you find the cereal box with a seed? Okay, great, they've gotten a little better. And then it's, can you find the Cheerios? And then heaven forbid, when they're in middle school or high school, you can send them to the store and be like, here's the shopping list. This is a life skill. I need you to come back and do this for me, which is, by the way, age appropriate, age and stage appropriate, linked to learning, and helps families figure out ways to develop literacy skills in small children. In parenting workshops or in cafes, the parenting workshops are a little more targeted. It might be things like positive discipline strategies. They're having some struggles with kiddos at home, making some choices. It might be coping with daily stress and frustration, right? I'm a parent, I'm working, there's this pandemic thing, like all of this is the weight of the world feels like it's coming down on me and I want to manage it well. So those are sort of the topics that you'll get in the parenting workshops. And then the cafe I spoke about really quickly, and it's just really a different way to say it's a parenting support group, right? We're hoping to create some natural support. I love my job, I hope I'm doing it forever. And things happen to folks who get paid to do the job. But when we create relationships within the community of like-minded parents who are maybe struggling with the same things, they get to wrap their sort of arms around them in a support in the mini circle of the community where we might be the bigger circle. If that makes sense.
Hey, Carrie, if I can just add something to that. I think one of the issues that we've struggled with historically for years is student attendance. And we assume that student attendance is a function necessarily of something we're doing or not doing, but with our partnership with Epic and through other agency collaborations, we realize that that's where it manifests. There are often greater obstacles in the homes that students and families struggle with. So if we make the assumption that Johnny or Sally isn't just coming to school because they don't like the class, they don't like the teachers, that may be a very small part of the much larger problem. We know when we implemented the liaison several years ago, when we saw an immediate positive blip, and then adding more liaisons this past year, seeing more of our students engaged. We know two things. If they're not here, they're less likely to be successful. But if they are here, attending school regularly, then we see great success with our students. High achievement, high academics, high athletic, high student favorability of what's happening. We do need to bridge that relationship a little bit better. We need to be more comfortable reaching out to the families that are less comfortable engaging with us.
I will say briefly, and I don't want to take up time, so you can give me the axe when you're ready for me to leave. But we did talk about the liaisons creating, right, with the schools, the individualized student learning plan, right? The idea that the student is going to have an academic goal. One of the things that was really interesting that really Tara talked about was the opportunity to create an individualized family engagement plan. So if I go back to that student maybe is struggling with attendance and maybe struggling with reading, we're in a spot where we can gather some information about what the family might be going through, some of their successes. We might talk about how do they feel about school, what's their own academic journey like, what are sort of the things that might be hindering getting to school, what are the things that might be a hiccup to learning to read or implementing those things in the household. And then we can kind of wrap our heads around creating not just a plan for the student in the school, but by extension, a plan for the families to support the student outside of the school, right? The core of what family engagement is. So that's in process. We're good?
I think so.
Thank you guys so much. We love being here.
When are we gonna get a follow-up?
When do you want one?
Schedule one, probably early fall.
Sounds great. Look forward to it.
I did want to acknowledge that actually Kristen Dudek was the one who sort of put us all together in the same space. And, you know, through those conversations, she sort of introduced the district to Epic. So I just wanted to say thank you and acknowledge that. And, you know, sometimes when you get the right people in the room at the right time, all of a sudden good things happen. And we're pretty excited about the work that they've done so far. And we're definitely where they're at.
Thank you.
And I know you guys rarely, the four of you are together, so if you guys want to escape and probably get some other work done, so feel free to leave at your convenience.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And next we have the school and
Okay. So today is obviously our first day back after spring break. The region is at one of the lowest COVID rates for this calendar year with about 26 active cases in Southwest Cat County. Our district is averaging between 2 and 3, closer to 3 new cases per week. We have a large supply of COVID test kits, so just a note to anyone who is listening, if you are in need of one, please let your child's school know, and we will get one sent home for you. Over the week before break, we had a couple emergency preparedness drills, and that was facilitated by our high school emergency preparedness class. These included a lockdown drill that occurred without prior planning. So while students were transitioning in the halls, right after cafeteria, we initiated a lockdown drill. We were sort of anticipating, well, anytime you have a lockdown and it's not structured, we were anticipating it not going as smoothly as a well-prepared one does. But to our surprise, everything went exceptionally well. Our students, the staff, everyone performed very, very well. And that drill went off, like I said, very smoothly. There's always something to learn, and we made some modifications and we'll review afterwards, but we were really proud of the response. That same week, we also had an emergency medical drill that went smoothly as well. That was also facilitated with the high school emergency prep class. And so they participated, were involved in the debriefing that went afterwards. And we have a couple modifications that we need to make to our plans, but we will continue to have those drills throughout the remainder of the year as we ensure that we provide a safe environment for our students, both with COVID as well as the traditional circumstances we need to be prepared for. Thank you.
And if I can just jump in with that, about a week or so prior to that, we had what was not a planned drill, but an emergency shutdown at approximately 4:30 in the afternoon after we received notification from the Salamanca police of what could have been a very serious, dangerous event. And fortunately, that did not come to that level of care. But at the time, we had athletes at Prospect for softball. We had staff still at Prospect, and we were just a little bit past dismissal of the late run. We had a full complement of athletic activities on the main campus, track with multiple teams attending here for a competition, tennis, girls lacrosse with, I think it was Star Point at the time, and then baseball, and then boys lacrosse. So we had every possible event going outside, and there were a few inside from the drama production. When something like that happens, it really does significantly test the system. It tests our ability to connect with the people, and I think in retrospect, we made some really good decisions at that time, knowing what little information we had. And I think that's a key for us to remember when we do these drills. And I think, as Dr. Baylor alluded to, part of our reason why staff instinctively responds in a favorable light, even though it may be not a planned activity, is we talk about these urgencies every day. There was a medical issue at Prospect today that went off without a hitch, and we kind of closed that communication circle quickly, made sure the student was safe, and made sure everybody that needed to know and had that information in a timely fashion. I think we're at the point where our students and our staff truly understand the difference between a planned fire drill versus a shutdown, a lockout versus a lockdown versus shelter in place. And I think it's just become second nature for our students and their staff to instinctively be ready to protect oneself and other. With regard to the event at Betts Park on the main campus over Prospect, there were a lot of moving parts, and I do want to recognize Chad and Gail and Jim, Officer Steve over at Prospect for making that site safe. I want to thank all of the security guards, Ray Haley, and all of the individuals that were on staff. They immediately deployed to Betts Park, where we had the students and opposing teams shelter in place inside the locker rooms. And when I barged into one of them and announced myself, it was the opposing girls lacrosse team, and they said, "We don't know what's going on, but we feel safe. So thank you." So that extends it. And of course, the high school staff that was up here on the main campus, that's a lot to lock down with a very limited staff. So kudos to staff and to our three SROs, Steve, Ron, and Matt as well.
Does anyone have any other questions? Thank you. Then we'll move on to the 2022-23 budget presentation.
All right, it's not as exciting as family engagement. Sorry.
Knock it out.
Levi commented that it's only 9 slides, and then Marcy commented like there's half an hour on each slide. It's not really true, especially for your students that are here. It's not that bad. So this is the last presentation before the big one. So just basically a recap of the entire budget. So last year's budget was $47.7 million. This year we're looking at 47.4. So it's a decrease of 0.6%. This is, as you can see, is the revenues. Now, if you look at it, taxes are once again remaining flat for the 5th year in a row. Miscellaneous is going up about 19%. There's a bunch of different stuff that's taking place within that that's causing that. And actually, I'm really hoping that I'm wrong on my estimate. Interest rates go up a little higher, so this is actually wrong. But don't bank on that. Fund balance and reserves is just a slight change and an increase of 2%. Indigenous tuition and transportation is a huge increase of 54%. And then impact is the opposite way, a decrease of 54%. And the reason being is, Mark and I were discussing this the other day, the more money we spend, the more money we get. Essentially, as our budget increases, our cost for tuition increases, we get more money. Our cost for tuition or costs rise overall, we get more in that day. So we just keep getting more money, which is great, as long as we spend it prudently.
So I was gonna say, that's that one in there.
I have to put that in. State aid increasing 1.7 million. Of that, a little over $1 million is an increase in foundation aid, which is pretty much happening across the state. A lot of us have been kind of held back in our foundation aid. We're getting about 50% of an increase in foundation aid for this year, and then we'll get about another $1 million increase next year. The other increase in state aid is from building, because we had our final cost reports for phases 1 and 2 go in. So we're getting additional building aid. So that accounts for the 7.8% increase in revenues. Again, $250,000 for our taxes, which is a 0% increase. And actually that $250,000 gets billed out, but about $49,000 of that is actually STAR. So it doesn't, people in town actually don't pay that. So it's a little over $200,000 that are actually being paid by city taxpayers, which is amazing considering other school districts that are charging a lot of stuff. People from out of town that are sitting here, and like Levi and I think our, my school taxes literally are like $51. So we always comment when we get around this town, it's like, yeah, we got our tax bills and they're $50. So. And other people are like, it's $5,000. Come on down. So with this budget, we're looking at 9 retirements and 21 new positions. It's insane, 21 new positions. Those are brand new positions on top of replacing those 9. Last year, we thought we had it bad when we hired 50 people. This year, it's another 30. Where we're putting them, but we're hiring them. So with the 9 retirements, 3 of them are elementary teachers, 2 of them are elementary TAs, 2 are secondary or high school teachers, and 2 are other, not necessarily teachers. 1 is a secretary and 1 happens to be our superintendent. And then 21 new positions. There's 8 TAs between the three buildings. Computer teacher at Seneca, special ed, I think is also Seneca, TOSA, MTSS coordinator at high school, English, high school. Monitors are Prospect, behavioral specialists is across the board. Guidance counselors at the high school, and math coaches across the board. Reading specialists and math specialists are all at Prospect. Oh, too much. Next up is expenditures. So as I indicated before, last year is 47.7, this year's 47.9 or 47.4, so we're decreasing a little bit. And if you look at the percentages on the right-hand side, the largest one is facilities. That's due to replacing 3, not boilers,
Pumps, water
thank you,
circulation
hot
pumps.
water, thank you, hot water pumps, or the water pumps in the building. It's 3 of 15. So that was a large hit, as well as doing, replacing the basketball nets in the basketball, or in the main gym. There's 8 of them, I believe. That all those nets, not just the nets, but the whole back.
Not just the net.
Yeah. Those are
Those are
really
really
expensive.
expensive. That's-
Wow. It's like gold thread.
The best.
Yeah, so it's the whole shield, but yeah, not just the net, but the whole back. So that's primarily that, in addition to, as with everybody in their personal lives, your you know, your water, electric, and gas are going up. And also we have more facilities to take care of right now. So, you know, it used to be Prospect High School and Greer. Now we have Prospect High School, Greer, that's the Blue House, Westgate, potentially Hoy. We've got a couple other properties that, you know, lawns have to be mowed, et cetera. So there's a lot more property that has to be taken care of at this time as well. Transportation is a slight increase. Instructional is up 6%. Benefits is up 21, and that's a huge number. Mark, are you sure? Yeah, I went back and looked at it. Insurance alone is up 10% because this insurance costs with the whole COVID thing and the lingering effects of such have really pushed the actual costs of insurance up, skyrocketing. TRFs also went up, and EMS went down a little bit, workman's comp went up a little bit. Unemployment, we don't really have any, we need more people than we have. ERS went down a little bit. So due to those, in addition to the fact that the 9 people that are retiring have quite a number of unused sick and vacation days that we need to pay out, in addition to the retirement award that was approved in all the consolidated bargaining agreements. So those really push the benefit number up quite a bit. Debt service is up 13%. That's because we issued new debt on the last project, but we are also being compensated for the majority of that from state aid. And transfers is down because we're not doing a transfer. I'm not gonna read this to you, to be honest with you. This is your property tax card. It'll be in the budget newsletter, but it just shows you that if you compare, you know, last year to this year, it's the budget amount. Oops, wow, that is really sensitive. We could have charged $547,000 last year in taxes. We didn't, obviously, we charged $250. This year, we could have charged an additional $8,470 in taxes if we wanted to, based on the 2% tax cap calculation, which is ridiculous. So we're not, again, we're going out with the $250. And then this piece shows you our projected fund balances at 6/30/23 versus where we are 6/30/22. We'll have almost $1 million more in restricted. We are using a little bit more in this year's budget. And the adjusted unrestricted, as you can see, goes from $25 to $27 million. But that includes, if the voters approve it, with $25 million capital reserve, that $27,618,000 includes a $10 million transfer to that capital reserve right off the bat. So we'll have $10 million sitting in savings. If that's not approved, then that 27 million becomes 37. And our 4% fund balance is projected at 57. But we're using it, so they can't yell at us. this is how it breaks down, what we have, where we were at March 31st, where I expect us to be at 6/30/22, and how we'll be using it. These are all, this entire piece, these three are actually one document called the property tax report card that if you approve the budget tonight, which I need to, yeah, I have to file this tomorrow by state reps. So that is it in a nutshell. Question?
Can you go back to the staffing slide? Okay, so I want to point out to the 21 new positions, that these are positions that the principals and supervisors are actively attempting to pursue. So this will be my shameless plug, as I've done previously for substitutes, for bus drivers. These are viable and open positions, and I just want to throw this out that we haven't since 2011 laid any staff members off. So this is a very good, stable, financially secure place for individuals to work. So if you know individuals who are certified teachers in those areas or know people, encourage them to apply. My concern, candidly, Karen used the word insane. I would use the word terrifying, because there is an incredible shortage of skilled, competent, and educators who are willing to enter the profession. I blame Governor Cuomo on that. I won't get political, but it's been a long journey of beating up educators in New York State, and the state is making some positive movement. But we desperately need individuals, particularly in those critical instructional areas where our students who have either struggled as a result of the pandemic or are struggling post-pandemic with getting back into the swing. So this group of 21 positions is clearly heavy on interventions, remediation, and supports for students. We still have a great number of positions in the budget, in the schedules for students that are accelerated and who are taking advanced placement or accelerated type classes. So we're trying to balance the bookends of our instructional model, but we do need staff to apply. The principals will, in the next 3 or 4 board meetings, really be putting forward a number of candidates for the board to approve. I think that was it.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. So back to revenues, we were talking about the increased tuition that went up. Does any of that have to do with the amount of money that we finally recouped last year?
Nope.
No. Oh.
Nope, that's past. This is just looking at future.
Okay. So how did that money get accounted for then? And how much did we finally recoup?
They were behind about 12 million. We are up to date as far as the state's concerned. As far as I'm concerned, we're not. They owe us 50% of the 22, let me get this right, of the 21-22 tuition. According to the contract, we're supposed to get 25% in September, then we get another 50% in January. So technically they're behind 75%. That's due to us in addition to the 21-22 transportation. So right now we're owed about which could be higher because again, as I indicated, that we spend more money that, you know, increases our tuition rates. So this 12,389 is based on, it's based on the 2021 final tuition rates, because the 21-22 tuition rate won't come out until March of 23. So the rate is always a year behind, and then you have to reconcile and get caught up. So part of what they owed us was a reconciliation from 1920, and then they owed us everything for like the 75% for 21. Almost. It's yeah. I mean, I have to stop and think about it every single time. And I got an email yesterday or maybe Friday, one of the 2 days that we were off, that we'll be getting another approximately $7.7 million in impact aid sometimes. And that's for this year.
Any other questions?
Now, is the impact money, because of the Seneca Nation?
The impact aid comes from our students that live on tribal lands that are not taxable. Oh, all right.
Thanks, Karen.
Got it.
Wait, when are you doing that again?
Right now?
Presentation?
Next meeting?
Oh, next meeting,
Make their
those two, it's gonna be fun, are doing the budget hearing. Because I will be in Saratoga at a university.
All right, we got it. Come on.
All right.
Give it up.
Now take two more.
I'm-
So
I will
5
be
days
on-
afternoon.
Yes.
I will be on the Zoom though, so I can clarify
We
anything.
can fix that.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, I
boy.
have more than 9 slides.
I don't have like 50.
Then all they have to do is read.
Yeah.
We'll move on to communications. Do we have anybody from Title VI?
I didn't see anything.
Nope. What about any other public communications?
No one was asked to speak.
And we will move on to central office message. Start out, Dr. Bueller.
Thank you. I'd like to just take a moment to recognize the hard work of our teachers at Prospect, Seneca, and the high school. Obviously, the Warrior Academy as well, but tonight I wanted to just mention that all three of our traditional buildings, Prospect, Seneca, and the high school, have been recognized as ITEA STEM Schools of Excellence. And ITEA is the International Technology and Engineering Educators Association. The district had representatives from each of the buildings attend a conference and award ceremony in March. That award is a recognition of the work that gets done across the board, not just with STEM teachers, but in all of the academic areas. And I just want to acknowledge those educators that have embraced STEM. And specifically, I just wanted to call out Mr. Aaron Strauss, who made that recognition possible. Thank you.
How about Karen? Do you have anything else?
Just an update, because I know Carrie had asked me previously about our long-term capital plan that we thought was going to take a couple months to do that. We're still working on it. It's going to be great when it's done, trust me. Mark and Kristen met today with the folks that are working on that with us and had a really good discussion for about an hour or so. And we have another meeting with them later this week, or no, next week. For more questions and back and forth and stuff. So what they're doing is they took our BCS, the building condition survey that they did 6 months ago maybe now, and broke that all down. We went through and prioritized kind of everything, saying that if we did another capital project, this absolutely has to be in there. This maybe should be in there. This could be in there. This could wait, kind of stuff to break it down a little bit. Then a couple months ago, I sent out a survey to the full administrative team and said, how is your workspace right now? How is your building? What do you want to see within your building? What do you want to see inside, outside? Think outside the box from your building and things like that. So we got a lot of feedback from them. And quite honestly, I thought some things would be, completely off the wall that somebody would want to, I don't know, nice range or something. But nobody. That's true. Sorry. But nobody really, I mean, there were a couple things outside the box, but not like unreachable, I should say, I guess maybe. So we're taking all those things into consideration. And a couple things were, they would say one thing, but we weren't sure what it meant. For instance, one thing said a room for state testing. Well, does that mean a room for the kids to take the testing in, or a room to store those tests because we're legally bound to retain them for X number of years. Well, it ends up, it's the room to store them. So like those kind of questions, we have to go back through and get the refinement on what do they actually mean. So we're gonna go through all that and then develop some work plans as far, kind of along the priorities that we did with the DCS. In that, next capital project, this needs to be in there. Next one, maybe, that kind of thing to prioritize those. And then kind of get a game plan out for like the next 10 to 15 years onto what we could be doing with our buildings and stuff. It'll be really cool when it's all.
So which principal really wanted the ice rink then?
I wanted the field house too.
I think you raised your hand first.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, I was the one that put the field house in there, not yet. I did it for you.
Good looking out.
You knew he wanted it.
No, I think it would be a fantastic thing to have. Days like today when they want to practice and it's freezing out and whatnot. So. That's all I have.
All right.
Awesome.
So then we'll move on to board message. Sue, we'll start with you.
You did that last time.
I know.
Well, there's not that much that I know going on as far as what we haven't been already talking about. I'm glad everyone had a nice holiday and welcome back. I hope that this last semester goes as well as the rest of the year has. We had some good times this year. I think. The teachers are doing good. The students and the administration are all working well together, and I have no complaints.
That's good. We hear about it every
Oh,
day.
we certainly do.
Dale, how about you? Yeah, that's right. That's right.
My only complaint is the weather.
I didn't ask for this.
You usually ask for this.
This does me no good.
Yeah,
They're
But,
done up there.
yeah, I just want to welcome everybody back, It's been a restful week for me, and I'm sure everybody else has had the same. But it's a big push towards the end of the year, so you're up for it. And forward.
Yeah. Well, Jess, does she have anything? I think so, I see your name up there. Oh.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
there you.
I don't know what I did to the video. Stand by, please.
Blue screen.
He's outside. Hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
See what I get for trying to be fancy. Okay, well, I won't take much more time trying to figure this out, but anyways, I wanted to convey to all of you, thank you. And I guess I better just preface it with it. I am not running for another seat in the upcoming school board election. I had some different scenarios within my own personal life that I have to attend to. And I do want to say thank you to Megan McCune for her support, as well as all of the board members and our administration during this wonderful experience. Even though it was short, I have learned a lot. And I just want to say thank you, and also congrats to all the teams and representatives of Salamanca and to our future OMers that are going to the world competition. Other than that, that is all I have for today's board message. So once again, thank you all for the opportunity.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie?
Yeah, well, Jess, it's unfortunate that you can't run again. We enjoyed your time here. I think I speak for everyone to say that you were respected and appreciated on the board. The good news is we're going to be here for years to come. So when you're ready to run for election, let us know. We'll be here. I want to welcome everyone back again. Hope everyone had a refreshing short vacation. Ready to buckle down for the remainder of the school year and now on a good note. And the only other thing, I just want to remind everyone, we have less than a month now. We have a pretty important capital project vote coming up. So mark that on your calendars. May 17th, pretty important day. And hope to see everybody down there. Casting the vote. That's all I got. Thanks, everyone.
I also want to say that Jess is going to be missed on the board. We are our own little best friend group here, so we appreciate her for being a part of that and to bringing her perspective. And we're definitely going to miss her. And just like Carrie said, anytime you want to run, please feel free in the later time. And welcome to the students that are here. Good to see the kids, although I know they're probably looking at their watches and pacing like how long is this meeting gonna be? So we won't keep you any longer than we need to, just
Another hour and a half.
about hour and a half, 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, should be that out of do it, yeah. Yeah, we can do Festivus if we want to, so we'll add it to the agenda. But good luck to Jess and everything that she does, and we're gonna miss her being on the board. With that, I'll turn it over to Bob.
A couple of items.
I could have taken Brad's turn or.
Oh, yeah.
No voting by proxy. A couple of items. I want to just remind everyone that week after next will be the Salamanca High School drama production of Little Shop of Horrors. I believe that's the 28th, 29th and 30th in the high school auditorium. Tickets are on sale and will continue to be on sale for the event. The budget is, I want to thank Karen for all the work that she has done to put together the budget, as well as our administrators and our leadership team. And you may notice we have a kind of banter back and forth, and it really is because of how much we care for each other and for the students of the district. But putting together a $47 million budget takes a lot of work. We start back in the early part of the fall, starting to have conversations, analyzing expenses, looking at what's likely to come from Albany or Washington, DC. Essentially, it takes many hands to put a budget together, and it culminates, as Carrie had mentioned, on May 17th, with the community supporting the vote. Part of the reason why we're able to run and do all of the programs that we do, from paying for ski club and sending our students to Iowa for competitions, or to archery championships, or to robotics championships, or sending students to Washington, DC to help advocate and lobby, is because of the excellent work that Karen and our administrators do in putting together a prudent, responsible fiscal plan. There are many districts that struggle to do any one of the things that I mentioned, let alone all of them. So that really is kudos to Karen and our administrative team. And just if you're keeping score, this is our 11th consecutive budget where we have not gone back to the community for more money. Unlike other districts that neighbor us and touch us, or other districts across the state, this is our 11th consecutive budget without raising taxes. In fact, several of those years we've lowered them while still maintaining programs, still maintaining our valued staff, adding programs, adding staff, adding materials and supplies and equipments, and really positioning ourselves to be a district of excellence when it comes to our expenditures and building programs. With that said, on the 17th of May, we have our budget vote from noon until 9 p.m. in the gym to approve the $47 million and change capital budget for the school year, for the 22-23 school year. There are also 2 board of ed seats open. As Karen had noted, there will be a referendum to open a capital reserve account for $25 million. We will not be funding all $25 million. It will be a gradual increase for future capital project work so that we can sustain and continue to energize our buildings and our programs and our facilities. And then a $21 million capital improvement project to renovate the track, the concession stand at Greer, a new turf softball field, some internal science room adjustments in the Seneca wing, some security upgrades. Bottom line is we need everyone to come out and participate in the process. And those are really important short-term and long-term activities to help create the type of school district in Salamanca that we've become accustomed to and expect. And lastly, we will have an executive session tonight for a discussion about property acquisitions. I will provide an update on some old outstanding litigation that is occurring, and then a singular personnel item. And that's all I have.
All right. So we'll move on to our consent agenda. So we need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Dale, second by Gary. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have one. Karen,
Carrie,
8-1, wrong amount, one item, 3-122. What is that? In the claims auditor report. It's the first time I've seen a wrong amount. Talking pennies or millions?
I don't know, I gotta do that.
I don't know.
We've never played a game of stuff.
I try every week.
No, I'm usually so ready and I didn't pay attention to this. Put on a spot. Honestly, that one I do not know, but I will find out for you.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I can't do that right now.
Oh, you don't have access to the internet?
No, I do, but I don't do these, the claims auditor does them, so I'll have to discuss it with her and which one was incorrect. And I will let you know.
Any other questions? Then we have a motion by Dale, second by Carrie. All in favor?
Aye.
Jess? Thumbs up. Opposed? Abstained, motion carried. And we have no old business. We'll move on to new business, which is BOCES annual budget for 2023 or 22-23. So we need a motion to approve the BOCES budget.
So moved.
Motion by Sue. Okay,
No,
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second it then.
okay. So then we have a motion by
Harder, but I
Sue.
get it.
So, yeah. Motion by Sue, second by Dale. Are there any questions? All in favor?
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Is part of your salary in this? Is that why?
Well, mine is tied to some of the wages
Oh,
of other nurses.
You're good on this?
I'm good on it.
Okay,
Bob said.
Bob said. So motion by Sue, second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Jess? Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And item B is the BOCES board vacancies. So we need a motion to approve the vacancies, which for vacancy 4, area 3 is Ralph Kerr, area 7 is Charles Davis, and area 8 is Robert Van Wickdell. So we need a motion to approve the board vacancy vote.
Motion.
Motion by Carrie,
Second.
second by Dale. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Item C is our 22-23 school calendar. So we need a motion to approve the 22-23 calendar. Motion by Dale, second by Sue. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Item B is our donation for Herd of Hope. And it's a blue buffalo that was donated by the Ross family on behalf of Roswell Park. And did we discuss where?
We have a couple of locations in mind, your flagpole or other, get out there once it gets a little drier, we can figure out where we're going to spend.
And so we need a motion to approve that donation. Motion by Carrie. Second by Dale. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And item E is our cooperative natural gas bid, WFL 2023-19. So we need a motion to approve the resolution. Motion by Dale, second by Carrie. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Item F is create and abolish positions that are listed on the agenda. So we need a motion to approve all of the creations and abolishment of the positions that are listed in the agenda.
So
Motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. Motion by Sue, second by Carrie. Are there any questions on any of the creations or abolishments of positions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed, abstained, motion carried. And item G is to adopt our 22-23 budget and school property tax report card. So we are adopting our 2022-2023 budget in the amount of $47,434,191 in the reserves to adjust that amount. And also our 22-23 property tax report card. So we need a motion to approve. Motion by Dale. Second by Sue. Do we have any questions?
I can do this.
We're getting it.
I knew it was coming.
No, but Mark and I can on the third.
We're ready to go.
I paused too long. So we have a motion by Dale, second by Sue. All in favor? Aye. Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Item 8 is our personnel consent agenda. So we need a motion to approve our personnel consent agenda. Motion by Dale, second by Carrie. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Jess, you get a thumbs up from you on the personnel consent agenda? Thumbs up from Jess. Opposed, abstained, motion carried, and we have a few staff.
We have a number of staff members who are here for tenure. And we'll start with Mr. Siebert at the high school. And Chris, are you aware of who's online? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, the only one I have.
Kim? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I just have Chris.
Gotcha. Fire away, Mr. Siebert.
So I've known Kirsten for, goodness, probably 25 years or so. I actually started, she was one of my students when I taught 7th grade, way back in the 90s. It was a long time ago. Kirsten, she also played on our boys soccer team for me when I was coaching that. So happy that she has rejoined our Warrior family. She did spend a stint over in Faulkner And just so happy that she rejoined us a few years back. This past year, she did transition from Prospect School to the high school, where she has been instrumental in our not only our physical education classes, but she's also taken a leadership role in our weight training program that we started offering to students. And then we've also had her over at Salamanca School for a couple periods a day, helping out over there. What I can say is that she's a kid magnet. She is very energetic, very compassionate about everything that she does. And you can see that not only the way she coaches the different athletic programs that we have here, but also as she works in our after-school weight training program, and just the huge number of students she has down there every day. So just super happy that she's here. She builds some genuine relationships with our students. And like I said, they gravitate to her, they look for her, they seek her out, and just so happy that she has come back to the Warrior family.
Mrs. Beaver from
Yeah.
Seneca.
I have
Wait, your
several
speech?
on.
Oh.
I have several on, so I will start with Mrs. Patty Blixley. She's a sixth grade teacher here at Seneca. I have known her to be incredibly humble and kind. Mrs. Blixley has a strong passion for helping children learn and grow, and is very adaptive and flexible in the classroom environment. Her lessons are structured and geared at providing students with a strong foundation while also incorporating fun and engaging lessons that are related to real-world concepts. Mrs. Blakesman takes initiative, is always prepared, and works hard day in and day out to share her love of learning with her students and her colleagues. Her passion for education greatly complements Seneca School. Congratulations, Mrs. Blakeslee. I believe Mrs. Fabricius is on. Ms. Fabricius, sorry.
Yes.
A fourth grade teacher at Seneca. I found her to be very enthusiastic, motivating, and reflective in her classroom. She creates a classroom community based around respect, growth mindset, and empathy for one another. Ms. Fabricius is always willing to take initiative and ask for help when she needs it. Holly has a strong rapport with her colleagues and strives to make lessons engaging and fun for her students. She takes initiative to collaborate and has students' best interest in mind. Ms. Fabricius is hardworking and dedicated to the success of her students. Her patience, kind heart, and passion for teaching is what we need at Seneca Intermediate. Congratulations. Ramala, Gian?
Yes.
Mrs. Ramala is a fourth grade special education teacher at Seneca. She has a strong ability to create specially designed instruction for our students to best meet their individual needs. She is continually going above and beyond to support our students and her colleagues in a co-teaching learning environment. What's she doing?
They're in this.
She's coaching softball right now. That's how hard
Oh.
She collaborates regularly with colleagues, has effective procedures and routines in place, and is always willing to learn and grow as a professional. Mrs. Ramala has a strong knowledge of learning strategies to best support our students. She's dedicated to her role in special education, and she is more than flexible daily. She can adapt to situations quickly with patience and strong interpersonal skills. Congratulations, Mrs. Ramala. I feel like my whole school got hired the same day, maybe. I have Miss Rachel Mangus, is she on?
Yes.
Ms. Mangus, she is dedicated to the academic achievement as well as social emotional development of her children in her classroom. Ms. Mangus takes initiative to collaborate with her colleagues. She shows enthusiasm for learning and is committed to the success of all of her students. Her organization and compassion fosters a classroom rich in respect, support, and empathy. She approaches situations with understanding and has strong communication skills. Her passion for teaching and learning make her an excellent fit at Salamanca City Central School. Congratulations. Please turn out to Michelle.
No. I think that's it for who's online from Seneca.
Congratulations, everyone.
Bridget.
Bridget's on? Oh, good.
Okay.
Mrs. Phillips Moore, fifth grade teacher at Seneca. She is committed, positive, and adaptive to our students, the community, and the staff. She has strong communication skills and organization in her classroom. Her Her depth of knowledge runs deep, especially in math. She takes initiative to collaborate with her colleagues, and she has her students' best interest at heart. She is extremely enthusiastic about teaching and learning and has a strong knowledge of design and instruction. She can adapt to situations quickly with patience and strong interpersonal skills. Her reflective personality and passion for teaching are a perfect fit at Seneca Intermediate. Congratulations, Bridget.
I have Paul Furlong. Paul has been a great asset to Prospect Elementary. Paul's lessons in the gym are engaging and focused on student participation. Paul makes sure his lessons start the building blocks necessary for student success as future athletes within our district. And it's clear that that passion is there as they're doing the lessons. Students are learning ball handling skills for basketball and soccer. And I couldn't get kindergartners to do what they get them to do with a basketball. I thought I'd see basketballs all over the place. They really do a great job in there, making sure they're really building those blocks up. He also has incorporated stretching and warm up into his lessons for lifelong physical activity for all of the students. He's always willing to help, whether it with morning or after school duty as needed, and has been a great addition to everything that we have going on in the building. I can't comment much on his coaching, so I don't know, Chad, if you want to add to that, but he's been a great asset to the building and just a joy to have.
He's an awesome coach.
Nice speech.
And our last individual, I believe, is here, is Mrs. Kennedy. A few years ago, Dr. Beeler and I were having a conversation about our investment into professional development. It really then started with a conversation with Mr. Colton, and he said, we'd like to approach Penny to do this, the role of staff development specialist and director of professional development for us. And Mr. Colton so kindly said, absolutely, 100%. The board came on board, and we had the distinct pleasure of having Penny transition from a coaching role to a full-time leadership role. And it has made a tremendous difference in the lives of our students, because our staff has access to not just important professional development, but critically important and meaningful staff development for their teacher and the individuals that we have on staff, from our teaching staff, our administrative personnel, our cleaners and our custodians and our food service workers. They've all had the benefit of having an opportunity to grow professionally. Let's be honest, there's a direct hand that Penny has had in that. And the success that we've had can be traced directly back to Penny, not just as an administrator, not just as a coach, but as a member of our Salamanca teaching and faculty for a few years. Penny, from the bottom of my heart, you have made our district just demonstratively better, and I thank you.
An opportunity to sit.
No, she's been with us for a number of years in a variety of roles. She's exceptionally well respected by not just the school community, but the community at large. She's involved in outside of the schools. She's sort of my go-to person when I have to get an answer to something and I don't know who to go to. And I also just want to say thank you for your dedication to the district. You are a terrific colleague at the opportunity. So thank
you.
No speech? Thank you. No, I'm sorry. I enjoy everything, and it's because of you guys that I've been able to grow in this district and from one thing to the next. And I love my position, and I love everybody I work with. And thank you guys very much.
Welcome. Is there a professional development for public speaking?
And we do have a few individuals here that are being appointed. Mr. Bartosek as our summer athletic camp coordinator, Ms. Pavone as our summer school coordinator, Mrs. Beaver for our summer program coordinator for academics, Mrs. McGarrett is online as our summer high school program coordinator as well. And just in case anybody wondered, we don't shut down when the kids leave or graduate. We start ramping right back up and start immediately with professional development that Monday after graduation for staff and administration. And then summer school starts on or about the 5th of July. For students who need some additional time or who need some acceleration opportunities. So thank you to the administrators for giving up some more of their time to serve those critical roles. Thank you. You have everybody? All right, we'll move on to our board information reports. We have our first email policy 1751. We have our enrollment data, transportation report, small city school district newsletter, coming events. Again, the little shop at Flora's play, the 29th and 30th. 4/26 is voter registration day. That's going to be held in the district clerk's office located at Westgate, and that's on 9/4. Our next Board of Education meeting is going to be May 3rd. Finance will be May 10th, and we'll just go over the Westgate, so that'll be exciting. Chris, I haven't seen it yet, so excited. And then the 11th is Indigenous Education Committee meeting. What is our time on that? We're still,
5:30.
yeah,
5:30.
okay.
And that'll be here to LGI. And then again, on the 17th is our annual budget vote. So again, students, if you can't vote, encourage your parents to come out and vote. We can't know how to vote, but we'd like them to come in droves. That would be great. And then OM, they go to state.
They go to Iowa on the Worlds. They're leaving bright and early on the 23rd. I think their flight leaves at 24th at 5:45 a.m. I'll be driving the prop truck.
And with that,
With the trailer?
No.
I just got nervous there for a moment.
it'd be like Robert Williams and RV.
Yeah.
And then the motion to go into executive session.
But before you do that, students, if you have not signed in on that worksheet on the end of the counter, please make sure you sign in before you leave.
Yeah.
And then we'll sign your. Before we actually go into it. So we do need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of acquisition of property, personnel, and litigation. Motion by Carrie. Motion by Sue, second by Carrie. All in favor? Aye. Jess, thumbs up. Opposed, abstaining, motion carried.
We can stay here so Jess can stay out. So shouldn't be too long, and I don't expect.
Bring your slips.
Sign in first.
Sign in.